Monday, May 10th. I hope that you had a good Mother's Day weekend. I saw a lot of really sweet photos of some of you stepping out, in some cases 3 generations, in some cases 4 generations. And of course, for everyone whose mom isn't around, you know, I know how that feels. Know that she's always with you. And we're coming up on the 7th anniversary of my own mother's departure, and she passed away May 25th in 2014. It's hard to believe that it's been 7 years. It doesn't seem like that. So for today's Mantra Monday, I actually want to tell you what's next, what's coming up next. So normally I would be moving on to the next chapter, which is devotional service, excuse me, in Bhakti Yoga. But because something very exciting is about to launch tomorrow, I think I'm gonna perhaps take a pause. So I am looking for a link right now to put in the chat box, because if you watch the previous video that I posted last week, I am beginning on a new musical project. Yes. And I'm doing a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter. And I'm going to put that link in here right now. It's still available for preview, but tomorrow is the official launch. So that means that I'm going to be sharing a lot of behind the scenes stuff, meaning, like recording in the studio. I'm doing this this project, at least the first part of this project, with the producer Carl Banner. And Carl lives all the way in Pennsylvania. So there's a 3-hour time difference since I'm on the West Coast. And of course, we're not actually working together physically in the same place in the studio. So that's different. Although it's actually not that different. The first album that I did, Yoga on the Dance Floor, which we're going to be celebrating the 13th anniversary of that coming up in October. That's something that producer Tom Glide and myself also did remotely, and in that case we were doing it across continents, because at the time Tom's living in Italy, but that's where he had his mixing board, and I was living in Brooklyn. And so basically we just, we sent files of sound back and forth to each other, and that's how the album was put together. And then he did the mixing there in Italy, and would give me some direction, etc., if he wanted me to do the vocal a little bit of a different way. And then he sent me all the files, and then I went to someone who did the mastering on, I think it was like either West 21st Street, I think it was West 21st Street in Chelsea, in New York City, and brought him that, and then he mastered it and gave me those files, and then I took those files and I went down to the duplication house, the engine room that used to be on Canal Street. I don't know if they're still there, and then did the duplication there. So it was a very, very international affair. But speaking to this one, I've been listening to a lot of Dolores Cannon, and just have become more and more intrigued by the power of sound. And also, well, if you go back to my Kickstarter video, you'll see a lot of the different inspirations that I had to put this together. But a lot of you have been asking me for new music for a long time. And, with all the life changes that have happened, moving to the other side of the country and changing, my living situation, and with the passing of my mother and the passing of my grandfather, and but finding myself in a very, very, very spiritual place. It's a very powerful spiritual place where I am living right now, even though it might not appear to be like that on the naked eye. And so I've found that for me, at least, in a way, although I have company, there's also been kind of a heightening of isolation. Um, of course, the pandemic has greatly contributed to that. The pandemic is definitely a part of this work, and the motivation for doing it. But even before that, there are definitely less distractions here and less things to do than coming from, the formerly booming metropolis of New York City, where there are so many things that happen even in a day. you know, Most of those things would happen over years in another place. And so there was always something, pulling me in a different way. But here I've, gotten into more, um, meditations and going into learning from my friends over at the Chapel of Awareness. And again, this just desire, for improved circumstances and a new earth. And my feeling is that it's really going to take a collective shift in consciousness to make that happen. And I'm pretty sure, there's younger people, there's new people on this planet that already grasp that. But for us old timers, uh, you know, I think we need a little bit more help. so, so that is what's coming up musically. And again, if you look in the chat box over here, you'll see that the Kickstarter project URL link is there, and I would love to have your feedback before I officially launch tomorrow. There are a lot of different tiers um, that are available. You can get rewarded for supporting the music. So if you could just take a look at that and tell me what you think. Did I miss anything? And normally when people do, musical projects and launches, people want t-shirts, but I didn't do any t-shirts this time. I'm thinking, maybe it's too soon. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you want t-shirts, but there's a lot of other things in there, including, like private performances. And also there's a new music video that's going to be happening as well. Now, in terms of going forward with Mantra Monday, I think that I am probably going to encourage you to go through the playlist. So if you're on my YouTube channel, there is a whole playlist just dedicated to Mantra Monday. And at this point, there are 2 years, it's about 2 years worth of videos up here. So you can go back and you can look through those. Now, if you are on Facebook, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to serve you these posts. I'm going to, boost these posts and give you a chance to, go back and go over these things because, of course, we know this information is ever fresh. I'm doing that, and I'm going to do that initially because the Kickstarter campaign only runs for 50 days. So that means that it will start on May 11th. When we get to June 11th, there'll only be 20 days left to it. So really, it's going to be running from May 11th to what? July 1st, and then it's going to be over. And it's an all or nothing campaign. So it means that if I don't reach the goal, that means everyone gets refunded the entirety of their money and the project is stalled. It means it's not going to happen. So I really do appreciate your support. So whether you have $5, $10, $15, $25, there's a tier for everyone. For those people who may be more fortunate, there are other tiers that are in the like $55 range, $125 range, $250 range. Uh, those include a new line of merchandise that was made exclusively for Akayani Music. Very, very excited about that. Been working with the incredible Paige of Paige's Candle Co. I met Paige actually right before Hurricane Sandy in New York City. It was hosting an event at a place called Cocomat on Sleep. And she came, and she is such a badass. All her candles are hand poured, all of them. And this girl is like in high production. Uh, and they are vegan candles. They're soy based, and we worked together. I told her what we wanted, and she worked on the formulation and sent me, let me think, 3, 6, 9, 12. I mean, about 15 different test versions of the candle, to try and get it right. So that's also going to be available uh, for probably a limited edition. Now, going forward again, circling back in terms of Mantra Monday, there was another kind of a series that I wanted to start specifically because Kafunya Ife, who's been a great supporter over the years, was interested in what actually happens at the time of death. In other words, how does a yogi or a yogini actually prepare for that? So there is a pose in yoga called Shavasana, which means corpse pose. So this corpse pose is actually meant to be a practice to help you strengthen yourself for when it is time for you to leave your body. So there's that part to it. Then there's also further detail, which is related to the organs, right? Fire of digestion, our vision, our breathing, all our evacuation, all these different things, and how they are related to the different demigods, meaning the different living entities who have been given the role of helping to preside over universal affairs in the cosmology. So that is extremely interesting. So just as a tease or as a tidbit, for example, they'll say that, when you die, the light goes out of your eyes, right? That light, that fire is actually related to the sun. So they say that, the elements, right, are present in the human body, and they are literally, literally present in the human body. So when it is time for us to leave the body, uh, the light that's in our eyes, the sun, he literally withdraws, and that energy goes back to the sun planet. This is very, 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 very interesting. We are so connected to this universe. It makes me want to cry. It's astounding. It's really, truly astounding. The intricacy of the design here and how everything is so intimately interrelated. So all this just to increase our appreciation of the creator. So that's a little tidbit of that. So I found a text that actually, explains what the mechanical process is for leaving the body. And then also, I was reminded that there is a whole allegory in the Mad-bhaktaḥ in the fourth canto, and it's called the City of Nine Gates. So the City of Nine Gates is an actual reference to the human body. So there are the gates, I believe that there are the gates that face east, if I'm not mistaken. So there's the two eyes, the two nostrils, mouth, right? Then we have the genitalia, and then if you go on the back side, of course, there is the anus. Oh, how could I forget the ears? There are the ears, right? So there's the senses, the sense organs, the mind, the intelligence, the interplay between all of that, the soul, So there is a wonderful allegory which is played out through this kind of fictional everyman personality called King Purijan and his queen. So I want to introduce that to you as well. But I want to do this in an organized way. And to be honest with you, because I have really been kind of overwhelmed with, um, this impending musical project, because actually starting today, I am going to be in the process of tightening things up and working on different aspects of the music. So, which brings in a whole host of other technological things that I have to learn. It's been a constant learning curve, and I'm grateful for the learning curve. It's definitely keeping my mind sharp, but there is that. So that's what's going on. So that's going to be my primary concern for the next 50 days. Yeah. So, let me know how you have what you think. Um, I guess what I'm trying to say also is that, if I get to a point and get to a point in this groove over my initial anxiety, because yes, I am scared. I'm scared and very nervous and a little freaked out about this new song because, I really want it to be great for you guys. And that's always kind of an anxiety when you're working on a track. Um, you know, so there's that. But so there's the emotional side of being an artist and trying to make all this stuff work. So if I get to the point, maybe let me see, 5 weeks out, or maybe earlier than that, then I'll pick up this other aspect of Mantra Monday. But again, I really want to, read and sit down and think about it and put it together, in a nice way for you. So it's not just haphazard and disorganized, and it is not a good teaching moment, and it is not a good learning experience for you, because I do appreciate your time. I do appreciate everyone who subscribed to my channel and everyone who takes the time to watch these Mantra Monday videos, either live or, afterwards as time may allow. I do not take you for granted. Also, I wanted to shout out to Texas and shout out to Vista for buying my hot sauce over the weekend. Have you guys seen this? Let me show you this hot sauce. Got it back in my storage area here. There we go. I came up with my own line of hot sauce. This is my like fire garlic and habanero hot sauce. And you'll see that it's got this image on it, and that image is yours truly. This is a model shot from back in the day. Uh, when I did this model shot with Nick Buskirk and Hans Muller in the Rive Droit studio in Paris, France in the 90s. And you can see it just oozes 1990s. It's very cool, kind of body conscious, celebration. And of course, Herb Ritts was a big influence at this time because he just really found a way to bring out the natural beauty of his subjects, because without a lot of artifice and everything, because in the 80s there was just, a lot of makeup and a lot of just stuff, all over. And so in a way, this time period in the 90s was a more stripped down version and celebration of, the human form, really. So as you all know, I've been modeling for years. I still model, uh, although with the pandemic, not so much, or remotely. But anyway, this hot sauce is also limited edition because of the label, and I think I've only got what? See, I sold 2 bottles over the weekend, so that means that I only have 36 bottles of this left. So if you're interested in this, make a comment, drop a comment, let me know, and you can purchase a bottle. This little bottle of hot sauce helps this channel run. So again, what was I going to say? Yeah, also, as far as the tiers go in the Kickstarter project, there is a place where you can just donate. Let's say you don't want any more things. You don't want the CD, or you don't want the digital download, or you don't want the hand poured soy vegan candles that smell like marigolds and rosewood to call back the ancestors. Maybe you don't want the mantra meditation CD. Maybe you don't want the private concert or the exclusive artwork. Maybe you don't want the poster. Um, maybe you don't want any of those things. Maybe you just want to donate, right? There's going to be a space for you to do that as well. Okay, so my friends, I think that I will probably pop up on here at least once a week just to say hello, at least. I don't want you to think that I have forgotten you. I have not. I think about you all the time, actually. Um, and maybe just give you a little progress report on how the music is going, right? So you have a great rest of your week. Um, Again, belated Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Be kind to each other, be gentle to each other, and I will see you again very soon.